Hello everyone. Today I'm here to do my 2021 reading survey. So I've done this video for like the past 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, I'm not sure, but basically there's this reading survey that Jamie over at the Perpetual Page Turner, she has a blog that she does every single year, and I just really love looking at it and going back over. It asks a lot of questions, like more so than your favorite books or least favorite books. It really goes into like, what character did you like the most? What book was hyped and you didn't really enjoy? It kind of goes into more of it. So I always think it's fun to do this video to maybe highlight some books that I haven't really talked about like a ton in 2021, you know, just kind of get a wide variety of them. So I'll link all my previous ones down below. I'll link where you can find the blog post if you want to do this as well, because it's really fun looking back on your year of reading and trying to figure out the answer to these questions. I didn't answer them all because it is quite a long survey. They even go into like blog posts and YouTube videos, characters, things like that. I just answered, I think about, I want to say anywhere 15 to 20. So let's just dive right on in. Number one is always the stat. So number of books you read in 2021. I read 89 books, which is pretty good, I think, because you guys know I got pregnant at the very tail end of 2020 and had my second child at kind of near the end of 2021. So a lot of, you know, things happened. Number of rereads, 0. I'm not a rereader. I have just learned that I'm just not. It's how it goes. But, you know, I'm thinking about re-listening to a couple of books, especially after watching the Harry Potter reunion. I know it's controversial, but it really made me itch to like listen to the Harry Potter series again, because I haven't done that in a few years and I really want to do that. Then we break it down to even further genre, the genre you read the most from, and that for sure is romance. And I broke it down further to where I broke down by different genres. So I read 53 romance books, which is more than half of my reading of the year because I read 89 books. So a lot of romance really dominated my year. Thrillers, I read 13 of. Young adult, this categorized like all of young adult books. Like it could be thriller young adult books, fantasy young adult books, contemporary young adult books. Either way, I read 19 young adult books. And then I have adult/other. These are kind of literary fiction, autobiographies, things like that. I read 4 of. So it's clear to me romance is the primary genre I read, which is great. But when I looked back over all the books I read in 2021, especially compiling my favorites list, I had a hard time. I think I need to maybe branch out a little bit more and make more genres a little bit more equal, if that makes sense. So I'm really gonna try to do that for 2022. I still love romance. It's like my favorite genre. We all know this, but I think I just read them to get my Goodreads number up, which is not the best thing sometimes. Anyway, moving on. My favorite book of 2021, you guys know it's A Float Pan by Trish Dollar, also Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I won't go much into them. If you want to hear about more of my favorite books, I'll link the video up above. Book you were excited about and thought you were going to love more but didn't. And I have 2 for this one, and it's interesting because both of them have the same elements in them, and that is If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Brashear and The Girls Are Never Gone. I forget the author's name. Both of them have podcast elements into it, and I love podcast books. Like, it's my jam. A lot of us love them as well, and both of them kind of fell flat for me. So I was very excited for them, and they just kind of didn't deliver. Next up is most surprising in a good or bad way that you read this year. For sure, I mean, I could say Float Plan, but I don't want to dominate every question with that book. So for that one, I'm going to actually say a holiday book that I was very pleasantly surprised by, and that is A Cross Country Christmas by, I'm filming not obviously in my office area today because things, but I think it's by Jen Walsh. Either way, I was very pleasantly surprised by it. I really enjoyed it. Also, 2 books I read by Sarah Decide this year, I both really enjoyed. The Dating Plan and The Singles Table. They both were super cute, and I really enjoyed them because I didn't like the first book in her series, The Marriage Game, and I loved the second and third book in her kind of series. So those are definitely ones that surprised. Book you push people to read, and they did. I don't want to say Float Plan for everyone, but this one I really did push a lot of people to read Float Plan. Did they read it? I don't know. You have to let me know. Did I push you to read it? Did you enjoy it? Do you hate me for it? I'm sorry. Best series you started in 2021. I don't think I started a single series, really. So none, I guess you could say. Best sequel. I did read like 1 sequel. That is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. Is that who it's by? I am so horrible today. I still need to read the last book. I think I started the last book in the series and I didn't finish it because I wasn't feeling it. I still plan to finish it. When though, I don't know. Best series ender. That could have been on the list, but I don't think I read a series ender. Like, I'm straying away from series drastically, as we can see. A favorite new author you discovered in 2021. I wouldn't say it's an author I've read before, but it's an author that I just really have come to love in 2021, and that is Simone St. James. I read 2 of her books this year. She writes mystery thrillers. I read The Broken Girls and The Book of Cold Cases, which actually comes out this year. And I really enjoyed them both. She's fixed kind of a permanent place on my favorite like thriller authors list. I just like them. They're very atmospheric, very paranormal, and I dig them. But best book from a genre you typically don't read and was out of your comfort zone. For this one, I think I always pick like a horror book because I have read a few horror books every year. Surprise, surprise. And for that one, I'm gonna put Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I didn't love this book, but it was definitely in my comfort zone because it was gory as mess. Perhaps the most gory book I've ever read. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. It's basically about a final girls, and it's pretty much like taking every classic kind of Scream Queen movie and putting it into a book, like from Scream, from Nightmare Before Christmas, what's wrong with me? Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, things like that. It's kind of like you put those same movies where that happened to those girls, you put it in a book and add the gore to it. It's that book. So I guess that one, I think it's the only horror book I read this year. And horror, I will always say, is definitely out of my comfort zone. If there's ever a day where it's not, I have very much changed. That'd be very interesting because I'm usually a big chicken, and I still am. Most action-packed, thrilling, unputtable down book of the year. For this one, I'm putting another Simone St. James book, Book of Cold Cases, that came out this year. I feel weird putting a 2022 release in a 2021 video, but here we are. I just really enjoyed it. I had a very good time with it. A book you read in 2021 that you will most likely reread next year. I don't reread a ton. We all know this. But if I could pick one, I guess I could say The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. It was one of my favorite romances of the year. I could see myself perusing that and rereading bits and pieces from it. That's for sure. I'm just not a big rereader, and that's okay. Favorite cover of a book you read in 2021. Oh, I should have the... I wish I had the books right now, but History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw. I really love this cover. It's very dark and spooky and atmospheric, and it's a book I did enjoy. Also, on the complete opposite end is a holiday book that I just love the cover of so much, and that is The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Leese. It's kind of a novella, but I love the covers of these both so much. Yeah, and I read them both this year. They're both really adorable covers. Well, one's adorable, one's kind of like spooky-ish. Also, The Nature of Witches. That's a good cover too. I mean, I could go on. Let me move on. Book you can't believe you waited until 2021 to finally read. I don't know for this one. I have been horrible at reading backlist books. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I let new releases dominate me, and I can't shake it for some reason. It's like, I really want to read new releases, but I also really want to read backlist books, and I'm just horrible at that. I'm trying to make it a priority this year to read more backlist books because I'm just not good at it. Like, I don't need to focus so much on new releases. I don't know why my brain does that. It's not for like video content and things like that. It's just literally how my brain does. I'm like, oh, this book just came out. You really need to read it. You just have to read it because you have to let people know. Maybe it is a video thing. I don't know, but I just need to read like more backlist books. I guess you could, I really don't know. I have no answer for this one. Let's look at my Goodreads actually to see if there's any sort of particular books that I read this year that was kind of, not seeing one. I mean, when I look at this, I'm seeing like all new releases, like all 2021 releases. There's not like a lot of them that are not 2020 releases, which is not the best thing for me. Like, I'm not happy about that. I need to change. Like, I'm looking at it and there's just a lot on here that I would say 90% of the reading is 2021 releases, which is just good, but also like I need to like get out of that, you know? I need to like read other books. I have a whole book cart. I have libraries. I have other things. Like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna really try to change. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Shortest and longest book you read in 2021. So the shortest one is a novella. I read a lot of holiday novellas at the end of the year. The Worst Wonderful Time of the Year is what I read, and it was 68 pages, I believe. It was okay. And the longest book I read is one of my least favorite books I read the entire year is A Court of Silver Flames, and this was 757 pages. Didn't need to be nearly half that length. Moving on. A book that shocked you the most. I think I put for this one Final Girl Support Group because I was just so shocked by the gore. Like, I kind of knew that Grady Hendrix was gory, but this one was like a whole nother level. I'm just, again, I'm a huge chicken, so it could be just me. But I was just like, holy crap, this is like really, really gory. I don't know, but that is one that I picked for that one. Favorite book you read in 2021 from an author you've read previously. For this one, I picked Act Your Age, Eat Brown by Talia Hibbert. It's the last book in the Brown Sisters. That could be a series ender that I read. Technically, this is a series ender, so I would have put it for that one as well. But that is a favorite book by an author I've read before for sure. And the last question I put on here is best book you read in 2021. I'm so sick of saying that you read based solely on a recommendation from somebody else / peer pressure, bookstagram, And hands down, that is Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Cosmino. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It's like a mystery thriller, but very satire-y. And I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite books of the year. So that worked out and I really enjoyed it. But I read it particularly because everyone was talking about it. So yeah, there you have it. That was my 2021 survey. Looking back on this survey, I'm disappointed in myself. Yes, I read 89 books. That's great. But a lot of them I haven't retained a lot of information of. A lot of them were just average for me. Like, I look back at all my star ratings and they're like 3 stars. Like, they just weren't there for me. And that's not like a bad thing. But I just think this year I really want to try to focus on reading quality versus quantity. Sometimes I get into that quantity. Like, I'm like, I gotta read, gotta get my Goodreads goal, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta read more romance. But I think I really need to branch out of my comfort zone. So this year I'm gonna really try to read more backlist books, more sci-fi. I've been in the meaning to read more sci-fi. Like, I've been hearing so much about Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I've read The Martian before that I'm like, I'm dying to read it. So I need to do that. Like, I don't need to focus so much on new releases. That doesn't dictate my whole channel nor my reading taste. I can read backlist books. It's okay. I'm simultaneously talking to myself right now. I apologize. We're working through this together. But yeah, just going back over this, I'm just like, wow, I need to really branch out my reading because I've said time and time again, my favorite reading year of all time that I've had was in 2018 or 2019. I read, like, when you look back at my favorites list, it was like there was a historical on there was a romance, there was like a thriller. Like, I just really had an amazing reading year because I mainly branched out a lot, and I think that those years bring me the most fruitfulness of reading. So I need to do that more. I definitely don't want to use genres as a crutch and just to fulfill my Goodreads quota. So, I mean, I don't know. Let me know if you feel that way. Some years are just off. This year was for me in particular. Like, I was pregnant, I had my baby, and I'm still getting back into the swing of like reading. Like, it takes me a long time to read a book now because of just time. I don't have time anymore. So I need to pick books that I really want to read because of that. So anyway, longest spiel ever is over. If you want to do this, like I said, I'll link it down below for you to do so. Thank you so much for watching. If you stuck around this whole time, thank you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.